Tonight, we're going to look at the critical features of how do we load. How do we actually not only create time in our golf swing, but whilst doing so, load into the ground, load those muscular chains to fire those joints for more speed, but in a controlled sequence so that we can actually release the club later. It's the number 3. And that, in our sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, is the loading phase. It's that change of direction, that transition from backswing to downswing. But it's not a top of backswing into a downswing. And this, I think, is a major reason why people have problems sequencing and loading, because they're focused on a top of backswing. How often have you checked it yourself or been told this is so important because if you can't make a correct backswing, then you can't get it in the slot, or you can't shallow it, or your club face is going to be too open, too closed, you're off plane, you're going to have so many compensations to make and it's going to throw out your timing. None of this matters if you're throwing a ball. None of this matters if you're using a bat. Tennis, any kind of hitting, kicking, throwing, we're not too concerned about the backswing. But that critical phase of movement is that change of direction when the body is organising itself to enable you to make that throwing action or hitting action as required. I see too many people moving into a top of backswing position and then trying to manipulate a loading phase. And you can see here, just by doing this and trying to simulate some kind of downswing action, I'm moving as a block. Yet this happens 3-dimensionally. So that's what we're going to focus on. How do you train yourself to recognize these 3-dimensional components which can naturally start to integrate and complement each other in terms of an efficient sequence? So first of all, what I want you to do is I want you to think about the 3 components that essentially make up the 3. It's a rotation. Now, I want you to think about the rotation as being from here and not here, okay? It's important we recognise where we're getting mobility from in terms of spine rotation. So it's upper thoracic. So think about rotation and sagittal plane, flexion extension, okay? If I combine this, so if I make my backswing rotation from here, okay, I'm going to let myself just come back to neutral, maybe a little bit past to get a little bit of recoil back, okay, just for this feeling. So just creating a little bit of a rebound action, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to combine the drop. All I'm doing is dropping. I'm not thinking of going anywhere, just thinking of dropping. And this is not backswing gap, by the way, guys. When you start to do this, you might feel like your backswing, like you're loading into your right hip. That's not what we're going to be doing in a golf swing. We don't want to be sitting into the right hip, pushing the right hip back. We don't want to be thinking about deliberately manipulating our movement and pushing ourselves, forcing ourselves into positions to match some kind of movement form. Okay, it's got to happen naturally, instinctively. You've got to let the body react. The body's got a mind of its own. It knows how to move. Okay, we've got to attune ourselves to this to a higher degree, a higher level. So movement awareness is key. So we're going to rotate and we're just going to drop. Okay, now this is all about moving to the target. So now I'm going to bring in some frontal plane motion, some lateral frontal plane translation. I'm going to go left. I'm going to drop. So I'm going to shift now. Sway is the real term in biomechanics. So I'm going to sway this way now as I do it. So we find some rotation here. Don't think about 90 degrees, drop all that, just rotate. You might get, I don't know, 45. But then when you drop, okay, don't try and make more rotation, just drop. And now bring in the sway. And look what we've got. We've got a 3. We've got a loading of the lead side, corkscrewed into the ground, pressure into the forefoot, medial as well, first, second, met head, balls the feet, ready to push off. This is already collapsed, ready to push off and fire. And we're just triggering this response. We're not going to go into the push off tonight. We're going to think about loading, creating the opportunity to, and allowing us to forget the top of backswing, because that's a change of direction. If you think about throwing a ball, you ain't concerning yourself with this. you're going this way. This is why it's important to recognise that we're still swinging back as we're shifting forward in that late backswing phase. And that's what's changing direction. So the 3 is essential. So how do we feel the timing of this? We're going to take a step to the lead side, only a short step, but just let yourself drop at the same time. And notice what it looks like. It's a load. You are still continuing to rotate back as you are dropping into that place, and you'll hit end range elastically and you'll spring back. Okay, now with the golf club. Same thing, in the air, get a nice comfortable swing going just with the forearms and the wrists. We're not trying to control it. You might find when you pick up a golf club, your arms react as if you're trying to control a golf shot and control the club, and you're like, everything's rigid, one piece. Okay, this is not movement. This is something that's been artificially constructed over time. So we're going to let this swing freely up and down, feel that motion, and that's a 1 and a 2 for this exercise. 1 forward, 2 back. And now watch the 3. 1, 2, 3. Still swinging back as I'm dropping in 3. 1, 2, 3. So the 1 and the 2 here, this is early phase backswing, it's accelerating, and now we're moving into a late backswing, and that's the 3, and you're dropping. Don't take this literally, as in the club has to be here as I drop. Painting by numbers, thinking by chunks of movement, because we want to avoid chunking. It's just 1, 2. You can feel that whip back, that acceleration. 1, 2, 3. We're going to step back now and then step forward. And notice now when we add this extra lateral in, you're going to get more momentum for more range on the way back. It's going to give you more stretch because you're going to be creating more momentum with the club through the momentum of the body movement, and it's going to give you a sense of timing. You're using your body mass, you're shifting your weight, and that's going to really attune us to the timing element of it, because we can feel our weight going from one side to the other, and just like walking, it creates a rhythm, it creates a cadence. So here, feet together, we're going 1, that's forward, 2 is going to be a step back, but the 2 is going to have to be sharp. Most people get this way too slow at first. We've got to move the speed, agility, quickness aspect to it. You've got to recognise how fast you've got to step, and it's not just a side step. It's a drop pop. And it throws the club back. Now, if you've been following the tutorials, you'll have seen this in previous weeks where I talked about the backswing and the drop pop through the hip, using the foot, the ankle, the knee, the hip, and this is going to add that extra momentum. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then letting your body rotate with that motion. 1, 2. Now, we're only going to take a very small step back. It's more about the drop. It's more about the drop and the pop than it is the width of the stance, the length of the step to the right. It's more about going down. 1, 2. Now we're going to drop into a 3, and it's the same. It's or similar short step forward. It's more about the drop again. Feet together. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now when you go back to a normal stance, I want you to make the same swing now in the air. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then bring a ball in. From the golf ball now, you've got a little 1 and a 2. The 2, there's a very short, sharp drop pop. And now the club's got something to react to. The arms are reacting to the body. If I take this away, suddenly now the club's travelling. There's no need to move the body. It's redundant. I've moved the club without the need for the body. So now my body's playing catch up. I'm out of sequence. When you move first, the club lags. When you change direction, it lags more. You're creating lag from the off with your body movement. So the club swings away. It's not taken away. Your body moves the club first. 1, 2, 3. And then you can let yourself go. 1, 2, 3. and play around. It doesn't have to be aggressive, short or sharp. You can start to let yourself fall into this. If you're feeling adventurous, start with the normal stance, bring the trail foot back to center, make the step, then swing. When you make the step, you fall in. You are dropping to then pop to swing. Best one I did there, because I'm almost forced into the action. I'm almost demanding that response from the body. I'm leaving it no other option really than to move into these places I've been training. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Drop your comments below, let me know how you get on. And we're going to be focusing on these elements. You'll see them on the lesson videos all the time because it's so critical for your swing performance. These are the components that produce those shots that you amaze yourself with and don't know why you've done it. This is what we need to get used to, and then we're going to do it more often. Enjoy.